How to reapply for a Schengen visa after rejection. What to do after Schengen visa rejection. If your Schengen visa gets refused, it is natural to feel disappointed by the negative outcome and thoughts. After dealing with frustrating, precise and confusing process due to inconsistent procedures, many rejected applicants contact us asking for help. A common question we often get from them is, can I apply for a Schengen visa again after being refused? The simple answer is yes, you can apply for a Schengen visa again after rejection. In the unfortunate event that your application has been rejected, I'm going to walk you through all the actionable steps you need to take to reapply for a Schengen visa and travel to Europe. So stay tuned until the end of this video. Welcome back everyone. Thank you for watching this video. If this is your first time visiting our channel, my name is Ahmed Abza, and here at Persia Global we help those who are in search of better opportunities to work, live or study abroad. In this video I'm going to guide you through the steps on how to reapply for a Schengen visa after rejection, how to apply and what to do for getting a Schengen visa after rejection. If this is your first time being here, subscribe to our channel, or for getting informed of new uploads, hit the notification bell. So let's see what is a Schengen visa refusal. A Schengen visa refusal is a standard official letter that visa applicants can receive from a Schengen embassy or consulate where it states that their application has been rejected. A visa denial does not mean that you're never allowed to enter Schengen region, but only that your current application has been refused and you must submit a new one if you want to travel to Europe. This is unless the Schengen embassy or consulates have strong reasons to reject your entrance to the Schengen region temporarily or permanently. But these situations occur when an applicant has unfavorable Schengen visa situation. For example, the applicant failed to respect the visa limitations, or they have a criminal background or committed criminal offense within the Schengen area. However, a new application that you submit after a denial can be either approved or rejected, meaning that submitting new documents doesn't guarantee you the approval of the Schengen visa either. When a Schengen visa application is rejected, the consular officer may send the applicant a rejection letter, meaning or containing the specific reasons why their visa was refused, but this is very rare. Typically, the visa officers just refuse your application, or at best, they check a box corresponding to the reason for the visa rejection. Most of the time, they don't provide any additional information or detailed explanations concerning visa denial. This is very important to be considered. Rejected applicants can also try to resolve the issue by writing an appeal letter, but this is not an easy process. The appeal letter should be no longer than a page and must be addressed to the embassy or the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Schengen state that refused the visa, or other EU institutions. Please subscribe to our channel. We will soon have another video as a useful guide on how to write an appeal letter for a visa refusal. So without further ado, let's take an in-depth look at the Schengen visa reapplication process, reasons for reapplying, and recommended timeframes to ensure that you don't raise red flags within the embassies or consulate. The first case I want to explain here is when you're applying to get a second Schengen visa. In rare cases, applicants who already got a Schengen visa are looking to immediately reapply for the next trip. In that case, we are encouraging you to wait for at least 1 to 2 months before reapplying for a new Schengen visa, as you cannot have 2 applications outstanding or open at one time. Suppose you apply for a Schengen visa and your application gets approved. If you go and apply for another visa that backs straight onto your approved Schengen visa, it can start ringing some alarm bells within the embassy or consulate. Schengen embassies and consulates only allow you to have 2 applications open at the same time in the rare event that you need 2 different types of Schengen visas. For example, you apply for an airport transit visa to travel through a Schengen country, and then your second application is for type C Schengen visa. Even so, it won't make a whole lot of sense to simultaneously apply for 2 different types of Schengen visas. If you are in that situation, you should rather ask for one multiple entry Schengen visa and save the headache of going in and out and providing supporting documents for 2 different applications. It is much more convenient to maximize the use of a multiple entry Schengen visa than it is to apply for 2 visas that require 2 different sets of supporting documents and fees. It is therefore very rare that if you have got your Schengen visa approved, you're going to need to apply for another one. However, in the situation that you're asking yourself, can I apply for 2 different types of Schengen visas at the same time, we suggest that you think about whether you should just go and get a multiple entry visa. Now let's jump to a second scenario, the most common one, in which you need to reapply after Schengen visa has been rejected. The actionable steps you must take depend mostly on whether or not you have submitted an appeal letter for Schengen visa refusal. An appeal letter is an official letter you have the right to dispute your Schengen visa rejection. At first, if you have submitted an appeal letter and haven't been approved, if you have gone through the whole process and the embassy's decision was negative, please don't submit a second appeal. You can only make one appeal against the refusal of a Schengen visa. If you have got a negative response after appealing your Schengen visa rejection, take heart, stop, cool off, reassess and recalibrate yourself before you go and apply again. If a Schengen visa was rejected and you haven't submitted an appeal yet, although in most cases you can reapply for a Schengen visa immediately after refusal, the time frame that we usually recommend people to take is a 1-month period. However, we are strongly encouraging you to go through an appeal process instead of reapplying. The reason for this is because an appeal process means that the visa officers can go back to your previously provided documentation, identify the incorrect documents or the documents that were missing, and give you the chance to update your application more precisely. So by writing an appeal, you can find out what documents you exactly need to change or add or even resubmit. You may reapply due to changes in your personal situation. If you have got a situation where your complete Schengen visa application changes, you might need to reapply for another visa. For example, if you have applied for a multiple entry visa, but your travel itinerary has changed and you only need a single entry visa, this is probably a good justification for reapplying. If that is the situation, your application needs to be around that type of visa, which is a single entry tourist visa, where you don't need to worry so much about validating that you're going to travel between a whole heap of different countries. So let's see how to reapply for a Schengen visa after refusal. Since reapplying for a Schengen visa due to rejection is a very common scenario, let's dive a little bit deeper into the reapplication process and see what you need to do to remove the chances of failure for the second time. Wait at least 30 days. When reapplying, there is no formal limit time that you have to wait. However, a recommendation is to wait at least 30 days. Suppose your Schengen visa gets rejected, then you submit an appeal and your application is still reviewed unfavorably after the appeal. In that case, you risk raising red flags if you immediately submit a new application, making it harder for you to get a visa approval. Spamming embassies and consulates with applications won't help. Find out why your visa was refused. You should know what has been the main reason to get a visa denial. If your Schengen visa got refused, you should find out why the first one was rejected in the first place before submitting a new application. A Schengen visa refusal is a standard official letter that visa applicants can receive from a Schengen embassy or consulate where it states that their application has been rejected. Let's see the most common reasons for rejection based on the standard visa refusal letter or embassy's standard form for notifying and motivating refusal, annulment, and revocation of a visa. Here, based on this form, I indicate to some of these refusal reasons shortly to provide you with valuable advice on how to avoid making the same mistakes when submitting a new visa application. False passport or travel documents, unclear travel purpose and conditions, not enough means of subsistence or enough money or fund for your travel, breaking the rule of 180 day when an alert has been issued on your name, you are considered a threat to the member states and you have no valid travel medical insurance, you presented inconsistent information, your ties to your country to return back has not been proved. Correct the mistakes you have made in your first application to improve your situation. It is important that you always learn from your mistakes. Being rejected doesn't put a big black mark against your name or decreases your chances of getting approved later. In fact, the visa officers do make a note of it. Nevertheless, if your visa got rejected due to missing documents or otherwise, embassies and consulates are completely reasonable. So you can go through the whole process again and reapply with confidence. If you correct the mistakes you have made in your first application and improve your situation, you have a high chance of success. Don't use the same documents excluding birth certificate, passport, etc. Imagine you applied in June and then you've got a rejection in July. By the time you understand why you were refused by checking up your application and what documents were missing in order to update your application, it is in August. Therefore, you cannot submit the same documents, especially because some have already been flagged as inappropriate. When submitting a new application, you need to provide the latest photos, utility bills, bank statements, etc. If you applied on June 1st and now it is the end of August, you cannot keep submitting the same documents, and you for sure need to collect the latest updated documents. So in conclusion, gathering new documents to apply for Schengen visa may seem a frustrating, tiresome process. However, regardless of why you're applying for Schengen visa, you can maximize your chance of success if you ensure that all of your documents are complete and filled out correctly. If you got rejected and need help applying for Schengen visa or simply want to avoid failure, Persia Global team of experts is always happy to assist you. Get your Schengen visa personal plan today, and an expert will immediately review your situation and give you a list of exactly what to include in your application. Remember, the number one reason your Schengen visa is refused is due to missing or incorrect documents. We will provide you with a personalized list of documents to ensure your application gets approved and you will enjoy an incredible trip to Europe. Well, I hope this video could help you on your immigration and relocation journey. There are many other useful videos related to visa applications, different steps and procedures to take in our channel. Don't forget to see different playlists in our channel for different visa categories and immigration to different countries. Socrates is the very famous Greek philosopher, among the first moral philosophers of the ethical tradition of thought, says, "The secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new." Until next time, have a good day. Bye-bye for now.